So how many people know about the R Consortium? Well, that's good. And now, how many of you think the R Consortium is really important to your life in the R community? Well, that is encouraging. But what I'm going to try to do here right now is make you all feel that way if I can. So what is the R Consortium? It's a trade organization under the Linux Foundation, supported by these companies that pay dues in order to belong to the consortium. Now, why is this happening? It's because of the tremendous changes going on in the R community right now, much of which you see reflected in what's going on at this conference. People talking about data science, the importance of other languages, R and Python, the entrance of the corporations, the attention of corporations paying to the R community. So the way I see it, the R Consortium is a way to incorporate companies into the community. And in order to do that, in order to be part of the community, you have to identify as part of the community and you have to be able to contribute. This is a way for corporations to contribute. Now, the way I think about a company, it's like a people aggregating function. So, it's a way to have aggregates of people associated in some other area come together and be represented in the R Consortium. These are the companies you see there are the present members of the consortium. The R symbol means it's it's under the direction or participation, with the participation is right, of the R Foundation itself. So we have John Chambers himself is the representative of the R Foundation to the R Consortium. Microsoft is there because, up front, because these are the top three of the platinum members. Microsoft is there on the strength of the work that Revolution did and the promise that Microsoft is trying to bring to helping and supporting the R language in the R community. R Studio is there because they've been providing leadership and really are giants in the R community. And we really do need to thank J.J. Allaire and the entire team there, not only for the technical stuff that they've been bringing to R all these years, but to the leadership they've been providing. So the goals of the consortium, basically, is to provide leadership and on infrastructure projects around the R language. So not the language itself, but you can see here some particular goals that we've set. But for infrastructure and leadership, those kinds of things that'll make the consortium, that'll make R a viable functioning technical community over the next 20 years. So that's important because all of you will be involved, I hope, in that kind of work. R got by, it started out as a relatively modest effort of volunteers. It's still largely run through the tremendous superhero energies of volunteers, but how is that going to scale into the future? So remember this slide because we'll come back to it. The governance is quite simple. The platinum companies get to select members for the board, and then there are formulas for the gold and silver members. This is the current composition of the board. The chairmanship rotates every 6 months. The actual work gets done by the Infrastructure Steering Committee. So the platinum members get to appoint a person to the steering committee. You can see I'm listed there as the representative for Microsoft. And what we have been doing, in addition to just trying to get organized and give meaning and structure to the rather nebulous bylaws that started the corporation, the R Foundation, what we're trying to do is actually make it work and get the money that's paid in dues that supports the R Consortium out there into the community. And we've done that by funding a number of projects already. So what I'm going to go through here is provide you a brief overview of the projects that have been funded so far. So the biggest one is this R Hub project, which is going to be a build system for the R language. This was basically the founding idea for the consortium. That goes back about 2 years when there was a hiccup with R Forge, and a bunch of people got together and decided whether or not there shouldn't be something that could help with building R in a modern kind of way. And it eventually led to the present project. You can see here, there's a significant amount of money behind it. It's already underway. Its goals are quite ambitious. I mean, it's going to be a complete modern build system, you know, to have everything using GitHub and also having knowledge of the R packages. Now, the system is already in partial development. You can go to the project page on GitHub and learn about the details. And it's open. I mean, I'm encouraging you now to get involved in all of or any of these projects that interest you. So we haven't done badly at the R Consortium about getting the money into the right hands, but we're not so good at communication yet. So maybe this is the first time that some of you have heard about this, and I hope that you will go spread the word. Here's another project that was recently funded, and for all these projects, I'll move very quickly through them, but you can see who the project proposer was and a few details about it, and I hope that we will have the detailed project soon up on the website for the R Consortium. So improving the DBI interface, so what they want is, you know, a spec that's rock solid and is easy to implement too. This idea of workshops, so this is a 10K project involved around tooling. Many of the projects that were proposed so far that were actually funded have to do with education of some sort or another. This is a one-day workshop, but it means one-day workshops to be delivered at several places. Here's a localization project. R is global, but most of the packages are written only in English, so we have a serious effort here to make it easy to develop and translate package materials. This grew out of Steph Locke's work, I guess, on SQL Saturdays. So what we're funding here is initially it will be a series of 3 Saturday workshops for the R language to get the word out. First one will probably happen in Europe somewhere. Software carpentry. They propose that, you know, what they could do is customize training for R, which is a great idea. I mean, the software carpentry recognition and their methods are just so highly regarded. Here's simple access for R in terms of geoinformatics kinds of applications, and we thought that this would have a broad application. So that's what we should be thinking of. What's the impact to the R community? How broadly will these things be perceived? Now, all of those projects were straightforward. You make a proposal, you can do the work, and that the consortium awards you some amount of money to carry out that work. The next idea is what particularly excites me, this idea of working groups. So these are projects not necessarily funded to begin with, but they provide a place for collaboration under the, with the resources of the R Consortium and the Linux Foundation, and under the auspices and oversight of the R Foundation. So the idea here is to have a project where you can collaborate, achieve consensus, and then have confidence that you're doing something that's moving in the direction of the community that has the oversight of the people that matter. So a couple of working groups have been started. These are the benefits, I think, of the working groups. So I basically just talked about them. They're sanctioned by experts. they come under the supervision of and attention of the R Foundation, and they receive administrative support. So this first one is really important. About January 2015, there was a workshop out in California at HP to look into the idea of providing a common API for distributed computing in R. Michael Lawrence of the R Core and the fellows from HP actually implemented the DDR package. That is a CRAN package that has a method of writing distributed computing algorithms. It also includes some algorithms, and right now there are a couple of back ends, basically the R parallel package. And the idea is what to do next. So this workshop is all about, is this the right approach to distributed computing in R? It's something that works. Is it something the whole community should be, the money should be provided in order to really try to build it out quickly? And you can see that the focus is on more algorithms and Spark. Is Spark really the way we in the R community want to go? Do we want to participate in the Apache Spark project? Do we want to write commits for that? Is it important to your company? Please, get involved. Write to the R Consortium. Write to the people directly. Let your voice be known about whether or not you think this is the right way to go. And perhaps, if you're highly motivated, seek to join the working group. These are a couple more working groups. Here we have some ideas about a common proposal for APIs. The assertion was that it's a little more kludgy than it needs to be. Could we all benefit from having it cleaned up? Code development tools. Much talk already at the conference has been about this. Here's the opportunity to come together in an organized way and discuss the possibility of making these kinds of tools available through the community through a common consensus effort. Projects that were not funded. We won't present the details this time of the projects themselves that were not funded because we haven't disclosed everything. In the future, I hope that you'll be able to go to the website and see those that were funded and those that weren't funded. But here are the major reasons for those projects that were submitted and were not funded. Just too small, too ambitious for the resources, not having the scope and impact. So we have to allocate our budget, and these are some, and sometimes people didn't do their homework. There was a partial overlap with what already exists. So it's the kind of thing you would expect under a first effort. These are suggestions for, I think, submitting your own proposal. You want to think big. What's the impact on the community? You want something that's collaborative. It's something bigger than you can do on your own and, like a single package. Write a detailed proposal and really be careful what you ask for, because then it becomes something that you're committed to carrying through and that it'll be a big part of your life. So there's a call for proposals that closes in June. So it's open now. If you're a company and you're thinking that you want to become involved in R in a big way, it's time to step up. If you can't join the consortium, that maybe you can at least participate in one of these collaborative efforts. If you're thinking that you would like to help in terms of a project that's bigger than you can do on your own, make a proposal and suggest how it would work as a collaborative effort. And in the last few minutes I have here, I guess I'm a little bit ahead of time, I want to maybe do some brainstorming on what would make good future projects. My present inclination is that we need to do something about the package discovery problem. I won't call it package management, but there are over 8,000 packages out there on CRAN. How does anybody find out what's new or what's really good or what's interesting? So, the people that do the task views are doing heroic efforts, but it's a single human being finds it difficult to actually cover all those packages. Packages go in and out of existence all the time. I think we probably need a collaborative machine learning effort in order to discover, how packages should be sorted out, which packages are there. I myself did a couple of, participated in a couple of maybe amateurish efforts to do this. I wrote a blog post last year on trying to use sentiment analysis to find Bayesian packages. What are the Bayesian packages on CRAN that have to do with Bayesian analysis? And what I was doing was scraping the description field for the packages, and what I found out was there's a surprising number of Bayesian packages that don't say they're Bayesian or use any common kind of keyword. So, that kind of simple thing's not going to work. People who write packages these days don't necessarily maintain the discipline of filling out the descriptions, of providing all the documentation they could, say in the news fields for the packages. So there has to be an effort, I think, that's more sophisticated than just maybe requiring people to tag packages. And I think that, some creative work from the community could really be helpful there. So I'd like to open this up right now because I'm trying to be a conduit right now to the R Consortium. I certainly don't want to be a bottleneck. So I suggest that you all write to any of the people directly that are involved in these efforts now. If you're interested, you write directly to the R Consortium for information and you get your ideas out there. But what do you think?
So what do you think of the interaction of the packages on CRAN versus GitHub? Is GitHub helping or making things worse and more diffuse as far as the access to new packages?
I don't think that it's hurting at all. I think it's part of the natural growth. It seems to be the way to, that people feel comfortable working. It's a modern way. I'm hoping that the R Hub project will put some structure and control around that. So, there's the beautiful thing about the open source, right, is it's the Wild West in many aspects. So what we need to do is not change its character, but help to provide discovery mechanisms. Yes?
I have a suggestion for the problem that you pose, that a lot of people here are experts in writing recommender systems. We had a great talk yesterday from Ani.
Yes.
eBay. Maybe you could use something like the word Quebec on the descriptions and use similar techniques to search and categorize what's in CRAN.
I think that's an excellent idea, and I think that would be the kind of thing that we would want to form a working group on, to have some discussion that we could hash out and, and see what it would take to actually do it, and then let us come up with the money to make it happen. Thank you. Well, I think that's all I have. I want to thank you again. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm going to give a plug for Use R. So Use R 2016, unfortunately, is closed. I think there will be a waiting list, so pay attention to that. And this should be one of the best Use R conferences ever. So thank you all.